The Valley's news talk and podcasts. Talk Central Phoenix.
And now, back to more of the Chips and Salsa show.
So, which of the Latin countries are you from? The one with the Civil War, the one with the cocaine, or the one with the fancy hats?
And we are back with the Chips and Salsa Show. Thank you for tuning in today and every Tuesday at 4 p.m. I'm Alice Lara. My partner in radio crime, Don Jorge, is working today. Elections, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, too. But in his place is my wonderful friend,
Rachel Alexander from the Thought Criminals.
The Thought Criminals. And then also here, who will be our next guest, is
Charlie Ellis with Operation Enduring Gratitude.
Great. And right now, we have on the line with us a candidate for the Superintendent of Public Instruction for Arizona, Shiry Sapir. Shiry, did I pronounce her name right?
Yes.
Oh, I'm so excited. Well, I want to read just this quick paragraph here that I found. I found this online. If it's at all incorrect, just correct me. So you were born in Tel Aviv. You live in Scottsdale now with your husband and 3 kids. You built up your business, Platinum Design and Construction, from scratch. And in 2004, you began purchasing, remodeling, and selling properties and focus on that. And now you're getting into politics. And I was kind of reading through this earlier before the show. You finished 2 years of service in the Israeli army when you came to the U.S., and you have an associate degree in interior design. And it just, I got to see you at our LD meeting. You got to speak, and I was very impressed. And one of the things, I just have to start this out because I don't want to forget to say it. I remember afterwards going to ask you, because I went to sign your petition, and you told me something very heartfelt. You said, if we don't save our education system, our country for that matter, there's nowhere to go. And you can really speak to that because you are not originally from the United States. That really got to me, Shiry.
Yes, I absolutely believe that, and most immigrants will tell you that. This is the beacon of light for the whole world. America is the dream. There is the American dream. People have to remember there's no other dream, right? There's no South Korean dream. There's no Iranian dream. There's no Italian dream. There is only the American dream. So this country is fantastic. We love it. And if we don't keep what we have here, there really isn't anywhere else to go, and we have to fight to keep America the beacon of light.
It's so true. Now, I have my I voted sticker on today, and I'm going to toss this to Rachel because she wants to ask you about education.
Yeah, well, we talked earlier during the break, and I just wanted to get Sherry's commentary on these bonds because we all just went and voted today. And, my point was that, first of all, if people who are legitimate, who have researched the issue, like, patriots, have told me we need to vote yes on a bond, then I would be more inclined to vote yes. But unless I'm hearing that, which I'm not, I generally default and vote no. And I really appreciated how Shiry had laid out on her website how there really is enough money in education for teachers. It's just smoke and mirrors.
Right. Well, we have to remember that every time they went to the taxpayer with different propositions, we always said yes, from Proposition 301 20 years ago to Proposition 123, Proposition 208, I voted no, and I hope many did too, even though it did get to pass. Now it's being challenged in court. The bottom line is that the last superintendent report shows that we have $5 billion in surplus between all the different districts. Some of them sitting on major amount of cash. Now, they can claim that maybe they're not able to use some of this money, right? But it's not true. Ducey gave the 20 by 2020 raise to the teachers. The problem, the way they're allocating that money, they're not adjusting for inflation, right? And that's a huge problem. And B, some of the school districts just decided to flat out not give that raise, and they have that discretion to make that choice. And the teachers, they either don't understand it, or I don't know exactly what the problem is, but that's exactly what we need to start showing, that the money was given to the district. And that's just the way the system works. It goes from the legislature to the Department of Education, down to the school boards, and they have the sole power to do what they need to do with that money. So it's their fault. And that's what we need to start showing to these teachers, because we've given them the money.
Well, education is becoming a pretty hot issue. In fact, there's a race out back east, which we hope that the governor is going to be Youngkin. And I think he's going to be in big trouble with that. And that's kind of the deal out here in Arizona, too, right? People are starting to go to the school board meetings and make some noise. Do you find that's true?
Oh, absolutely. They've called us domestic terrorists. That's how they labeled parents. So the movement is nationwide. It's not unique to Arizona, and it should be. The whatever triggered this, and you can say COVID, you can say people start seeing what's going on in the classroom because the classroom came into their house and they were able to see more. But I also think it's not just because of that. I think they really just become so much more involved and courageous with what they're bringing in front of our children, that parents are now kind of in a state of shock. And all of these kids that are now so much behind because of so many months, now years of not getting the proper instruction in class with teachers and not that online nonsense, they're so behind. Parents are paying attention. When your child can barely hold the pencil in first grade, it's concerning. When your child isn't reading the way they should in third grade, you're starting to ask questions, and parents are paying attention to all these things. Not to mention the politicizing of the classroom is just so prevalent right now everywhere that it's impossible to ignore. And when they're calling us domestic terrorists, we're going to rise up.
And if you were get elected for Superintendent of Public Instruction, explain, what kind of say would you have in that? And explain actually what that does, because people probably don't even know what the function of the superintendent is.
So the superintendent is an administrative role. It's the chief education officer of the state. The responsibilities that fall under that office would be to implement the standards and the policies that are set by the State Board of Education, to oversee the teacher certification, to manage the budget that's coming from the state, which is about half of the budget of the state comes to education, billions and billions of dollars.
Half the budget. Wow.
Yeah, it's
and
a
they
lot
hide
of
that
money.
from you.
And so all of these things are happening within the Department of Education. Now, the State Board of Education is the one that reviews standards, reviews curriculum, but we're the ones who can craft and draft it in the Department of Education. And the reason that I'm a lot more optimistic the more I learn about what we can actually do and more motivated is because in the Department of Education right now, there's about 700 employees. There's a lot of people. And there is a lot of the wrong kind of people in there, if I may say so, that really don't care about the education of your child. This is all about politics. It's about inclusion, equity, diversity. Kathy Hoffman, who is the current superintendent, actually created the equity department within the department. And these are the kind of things that we can eliminate day one, and we will. Because I don't believe in any of this nonsense. I want the schools to teach our children to read, to write, and math. They cannot be responsible for the character development of our children. It's not their job, especially when it goes against what we believe in. Now, if you want to be a special school that teaches critical race theory and illicit sexual content day and night, please say that to us, show us the curriculum, and people who want to will put their children in these schools. But if we don't, we must have the choice to get our children out of that kind of an environment. And right now we don't, because the money goes to the public schools and it doesn't follow our children. We're funding the system, not the student, and that has to change.
That's very telling words, funding the system and not the student. So people are probably, the first thing that I think, I kind of try to go be the devil's advocate, they see you and they say, well, you know what, you really don't have education experience. What do you think? Right. You're a mom, and, how are you going to, but, you have evidently done your homework, because you have a lot of information about it.
It doesn't take a genius, I can assure you. Unfortunately, I have to say that. But number one, being a mom, you are a teacher all day long. I am responsible for the development I have 3 young children. I'm responsible for their development, holistic development, their well-being from the day they're born. So the administrative part of being a superintendent, and if you look up the term superintendent, it's actually an administrative role, it was designed to be that. I'm not supposed to be a teacher. If I wanted to be a teacher, I would have gone and became a teacher, got a teacher certification and went to the classroom. That's not what I wanted to do. But what I can do is see how wrong things are and go in and fix them. If the politicians and the educators could have fixed this system, they would have done it by now, but they've created the problems that we're in. And the problem is that a lot of the educators, and I'm not talking bad about all teachers at all, I have so many teachers reaching out to me, and they're so supportive because they too don't want to teach some of these things that they're forcing them to teach in the schools. They don't want the mandates, and they don't want the indoctrination that's going on. A lot of the teachers, especially the young ones that are going right now through the teachers' colleges programs, they are indoctrinated themselves. If I showed you, and I'm going to start showing this throughout the campaign, the things that they are teaching them in the classroom, it has nothing to do with becoming a good teacher. It has nothing to do with how to teach a child to read or write. It's all politics and indoctrination. So we can't expect these teachers to know any better. They're part of the system. They're invested in the system. And so to say that this is the kind of people that we want to be in charge, well, we already have that. Where did it get us to? And that's my argument, and it resonates with a lot of people. I can assure you that most of the time when I go to people and talk to them, that's one of the first questions they ask. And when I say I'm not part of the education system, they say that's great. Because that's how I feel too. I would never run if I didn't think that's what I want.
Well, it's like Trump coming in. You know, he didn't have any background in politics, and he became president, and he was very qualified to do it. We wanted that outsider coming in.
I think that's a trend, too, now in politics. We really think that's okay if you're not really a politician. We have maybe a few more minutes, right, Julian? Could you give your website, and if people want to get in touch with you, are you still collecting petition signatures as well?
Yes, we're very close. We needed 10,000 signatures, so we're very, very close. But if any of what I said resonate with you, please go to my website. It's electshirysapir.com. My name is spelled SHIRYSAPIR, electshirysapir.com. On Twitter, @ShirySapir. Sign my petition. I'm running clean, so you can give the $5 donation. And most importantly, we really need to put politics aside. I really believe that this is not an issue of Democrats or Republicans. These are our kids. There should be a consensus in a sane and decent society as to what is good for children. There should be no argument about it at this point. And I do see when I go out there too, and I speak to so many people, I'm all over the state, independents also want school choice. Democrats also want school choice. It actually, the polling shows that. They want to have the freedom to take their kids where they see fit. So this is not a partisan issue. And our children should never be partisan. So you can jump on the Shiry Sapir train regardless of your political affiliation, because I am going to put our kids first. This is the mission. This is what this is about. And I'm committed to it.
It's a great mission, and I want to remind our audience that you don't necessarily have to be a Republican to give her a $5 donation either. You can be any party and give her $5. And that's good. Okay, we have 1 minute left. I really appreciate you being on with us, Shiry, and maybe later on you can come and join us in studio so we can have a more in-depth interview. Give your website out again, please.
electshirysapir.com. SHIRYSAPIR.
Great. And she is running for Arizona Superintendent of Public Instruction. So thank you so much. And I'm Alice Lara here with the Chips and Salsa Show with
Rachel Alexander of the Thought Crime Police.
And
Charlie Ellis with Operation Enduring Gratitude.
Great. And thank you, Shiry. We hope to talk to you again, and good luck with your campaign.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
All right. And hang tight, because we'll be right back with more of the Chips and Salsa Show here on Central City Radio, Talk Central Phoenix. Don't go away.